Hello, guys. Good afternoon. This is Malkan, author of the book #Cash and a High Performance Trading Coach. I hope the week's begun well for you. We're right in the middle of the week. New timings for the show is 1 p.m. The show has moved from night 9 p.m. to now we are at 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And so let's begin. I've got a very interesting discussion this afternoon. But before we begin, let's see who's joining us from where. We have 16 people on board so far. Start off with the comments, guys. Who's joining us from where? Especially for my traders community, I know we're in the middle of the trading, a lot of action going on in the market. But as you know, we are never this people who propagate sitting in front of the screen all the time. So it's good in a way that we have this show coming up in the middle to give you some boost maybe to the trading that's happening. Yes, Akash from Ahmedabad. Hi, Akash. Welcome to the show. A very interesting thing that as I was preparing for this topic, for today, which is fear, as you've read it, we're going to talk about fear. As I read more and more, and as I got more and more material for this thing, I realized one thing. This is something. This topic is something very very close to my heart. I mean, I have been working on this on myself as well as the people into the program and reading a lot about how high performers deal with fear. And I thought one session was not enough to discuss this topic at least. So what we're going to do is we're going to spread this topic across 3 sessions. So we'll discuss it today will be session 1, and then 2 more sessions we'll be having on fear, because there's a lot that I want to discuss, there's a lot I want to share with you, know how you guys deal with fear. So I thought let's stretch it across. I hope you enjoy each and every session. So we have Suresh from Hyderabad. Hi Suresh. Pandira joins from Chennai. Hello there. Welcome this beautiful summer afternoon. Kailash from Navi Mumbai. Great, super. So guys, before we begin with discussing the topic, this is a very generic topic, the topic of fear, and irrespective of whatever profession that you're in, you're a trader or you're at a full-time job, you're a homemaker, or even you could talk about this to your kids. The feeling of fear or the attitude of fear keeps manifesting into our lives in a lot of ways, right? But it's so fascinating, to so many people. When you talk about fear, people are fascinated. It's become a very generic term. Itna generic that nobody's able to ascribe any definition to what fear actually is. It's become that generic, right? And the funny part is we give ridiculous importance to fear. Kuch bhi ho jaye, I mean, anything, any endeavor that you take up, this is something that's looming in. So today, especially for this discussion, I want to be talking about why do we have this fear? What is fear? Before we understand about, we need to do this for fear, etc., etc. That is all gyan. We'll do it later. But first, we need to understand what is fear, where it comes from, and we need to understand fear in the right sense. Is it good or is it bad? Because most of the times we think fear is bad. So let's understand what is fear, and then you can take a decision yourself how it is good or bad. So, guys, to begin with, all of us are living in this modern society. Fear, man, we don't have this fear looming on our heads that there is some animal chasing us, or we have imminent fear of life all the time. We're not going to be killed walking on the road, right? So at least we're above that basic level of fear, that we are safe, we are protected, we don't need to fear on that count, right? So the only fear that we have all the time is, we fear these contemplative thoughts that keep running into our mind so often. These thoughts are not about something that's gone by. They're not about something that's happening. They're most of the time there's something about that will happen, right? So it's not about the past or the present. It's always about the future. And the best thing is we become so associated with those thoughts, and we associate so much pain to those thoughts that we very conveniently call it fear. That's all. So in a way, fear is some unknowable, scary thing. We don't know what is fear. If you had to define what is fear, or what is the feeling, if I ask you, what is the feeling that you feel when you're fearful? What would you say? What would you feel when you are feeling fearful? Can we have a few shares here? This is important for us to know. What do you mean by fear? What is it that what happens to you? How do you feel when you're fearful? If anybody would like to share here, what happens when you're fearful? क्या होता है? What do you understand by fear? Yes, anyone? There are too many things that we have fearful about. I myself was fearful about a lot of things. I would like to share a few of my fears and how I used to feel when I feel those fears, but I'd like to know from you first. How does it work with you when it comes to fear? How do you feel? What do you think fear is? Fear of failure. Yes, that is the fear that we most of us encounter most of the time. That before taking a new activity or doing something that we always wanted to do, what if we fail? Yes, false emotions appearing real. That's fear. Those are the contemplative thoughts that we have that, maybe this can turn out to be true. Fear makes us not perform at our best level. And fear comes when we are not confident enough. Yes, there's a direct connection between fear and confidence and competence. We're going to discuss that as well. Thank you for pointing it out. Stomach churns, you feel your heart is racing. Yes, perfect. We feel that a lot of times. Fear of rejection. So that's going to be coming up in the next session soon. What are the kinds of fear that we feel? Fear that I'll not be able to achieve what I planned. That is fear of failure. Means you set out to do something, but are not able to accomplish that. That's the fear of failure. Perfect. So losing a lot of people, losing of people or anything. Yes, these are all the fears of things. So whatever we discussed here, they're all fears of things that are not present at the moment. But these are the things that may happen in the future. So these are all things living in the future, right? So that's the unknowable, scary thing that we fear. Now, a very fascinating thing that I observed in all these years of studying high performers is that somehow all these people who perform at their best level, at their A grade, they have very high resilience for fear. They do feel fear. I mean, for a speaker who's speaking on stage to 12,000 people or 40,000 people into a stadium at a time, I'm sure he does feel fearful when he steps on the podium. I'm sure he does. But that person has a very high resilience for fear, and that's the difference between that person out there and the rest of us who are tackling with fear every day in our lives, right? Because there's one thing that they know is that I started accepting in my life is as long as I'm going to continue to grow out of my comfort zone, as long as I continue to do that, this fear is never going to go away. It cannot, it's only going to grow. And everyone has to experience fear. It's a part of life, right? So once you understand what fear actually is, that it's more of a contemplative process for you that goes on in your head all the time, then you realize that fear is nothing but just ill management of your mental abilities. You're not able to manage your abilities well, and that's how fear comes from. Guys, this formal education teaches us all kinds of things. We learn the complicated mathematical systems, we learn physics, chemistry, biology, but unfortunately when we graduate from high school, the only thing we don't know to manage is ourselves, our bodies, our energies, our fear system, our mental abilities. These kind of management systems are not taught, unfortunately. So that is the time the self education helps you learn and you grow, helps you grow, sorry, because you learn to deal with these kind of things only by doing this kind of educative thing, doing reading about high performance and modeling them, how they do it and how you can do it too, right? So there are two ways in which you can hold your fear. For instance, take any fear that you're facing right now. Are you facing that fear from the point of power, or are you facing that fear from the point of pain? As Susan Jeffers, explains so beautifully in her book, "Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway." One of the best reads that I've done, that I've had on fear, and one of my books recommended to the people into the higher level coaching programs. What she says is either you approach it from the point of power, or it happens from pain. So when you do it from the point of power, what happens is you're doing it more out of choice, you're doing it more out of the want to take action. But when you're doing it from the pain point, all you have is more pain, all you have is more helplessness and more sarcasm towards fear, right? So it's upon you. You have to take a call, because all of us feel the fear when approaching something totally new in life, right? All of us do that. I have done that multiple times. When I left my job in this endeavor of becoming a trader, I had a lot of pitfalls. I've lost a lot of money, and it was a tough thing for a person who has never traded a single share, right? But then it so happened that I learned out of the way. I had to grow out of it. It is not that I was not fearful. I didn't even know the high performance concepts then, but I had to find my way. So those were the dark times when I was really caught into the grip of fear. That's what had happened. Also, when I started speaking, I was such a shy person in my high school and my college days. I haven't spoken to people. And when I started speaking, there again I was engulfed by fear. So all of us have these things. When we do something new, we're engulfed and encapsulated by fear. But what happens is, yet so many of us are out there every day doing it despite the fear, doing it in spite of the fear looming around us. Doesn't matter. So this proves that if a few people can do it despite the fear, this proves that fear is not the problem at all. It's so important for you to understand that you're not doing ABC thing, not because of fear. Fear is not the problem. If that could have been the problem, a lot of other things, a lot of other people wouldn't do something new either. Right? There are people who are growing constantly, who are evolving, who are pushing themselves out of their comfort zone, who are taking new steps every month. You listen to them doing something new. So that's fear is never the problem, guys. So the thing is, when you listen to Sadhguru talk on this, very beautifully explains is, whatever we are, we live in three-dimension approach. We live in this three-dimension space. One part of it is we're made up of three things. One is our memory, which means we are made up of memory, right? Our father and mother have united into a cell to form us, and here we are. So all these memories, genetic memories, are stored into every cell of us. That's how we remember things from the genetics. That's how hereditary happens. So one part of us is memory. That's a genetic memory that ourselves, that is what rules us. The second part is the present situation, our experiences that we are gathering over a period of time. And the next part is our imagination, that's the future. So we're living in these three dimensions: the past, that's the memory; the present, that's our experiences; and the future. Now, what happens is, you cannot change your memories from the past because they are made by your ancestors. Those are your genetics. You cannot change your experiences because that's what is really happening in the present right now. But what you can do is, you can change your imagination. You can change your thoughts. That's what you can do. In Tino mein, when we exist, the only power that we have is about our imagination. And guys, it's proven. It's proven in psychology that our mental abilities are much more powerful than the weaknesses that we have. That's proven. We have more mental abilities to get it done rather than our weaknesses, right? And all the time we keep suffering that something will happen, something will happen. So essentially, what we're doing is, we are suffering from something that does not exist at all. How paradoxical that is. You're fearing something, but that's not happening at all. Sorry, that's not there in the current dimension at all. So that's what it is. ऐसे लोग बोलते हैं there are these mental cases who are in the asylum, and we start feeling that way because when you feel fearful, you take comfort in the fact that a whole lot of people are fearful here, right? That gives you comfort in the fact that it's okay to feel fearful, whereas it's not. You don't need to be part of that tribe. You don't need to be part of that asylum. If you're feeling that, something's wrong with you. So it's high time, guys, we understand that how are we looking at our own fear? Fear of can't explain what I'm thinking. The fear is something that's there inside which you can't explain. You can't get it out. That's worse because nobody knows the kind of fear that you're experiencing. Yes, that's one of the biggest fear. Thank you. So that's what it is. So a lot of times now, henceforth, I want you to start one practice all the time. Whenever you feel fear about something, just just think about it. Where is that fear? Is it something that's happening in the moment, or is it something imaginative? It's something imaginative, you can dismiss it right away because you know that that thing does not exist. Now I know when I talk like this, I mean, a lot of people ask me this question, that what about the what about the bigger things happening in life? What about dealing with terminal diseases such as fear of cancer? What about dealing with fear of losing your family member, your spouse, your child, your parent? What about those kind of fears? That is exactly what we're going to discuss in the coming sessions. I want to discuss each and every aspect of fear. I want to take it easy, take it longer, pull it more, and have a more broader and a detailed discussion on fear. So we'll take this up one by one. But for now, it's important for you to know that any fear that arises is never the problem, and it's not something that's existing at the moment for any of us, right? Most of the time, guys, fear is associated with courage. you know the things that most frighten us. Think about something, just सबसे ज़्यादा डर लगता है आपको. And but the thing is, when you actually gather the courage and do that thing, the fear just dissolves. And one of the most funny and interesting experiences that I had of this is swimming. You know, yeah, I was so scared of water. I have been scared of water. I never learned how to swim as a child. I never learned swimming in my teenage and youth. I mean, I still don't know how to swim. But then when I was working on my goals for this year, this was one thing that used to come every year. This year I decided I'm going to take it heads on. You know, I just found the courage to enroll for a coaching session, for a series of coaching sessions on swimming. And I myself couldn't believe it. Then I'm shit scared of water. But the moment I had the courage to put my body into the water, I mean, to start doing it once and for all, I observed the fear totally dissolving. It was very silly that I did it at this age. I mean, after so many years, but then I found out how beautifully the fear just dissolved once I just got the courage to do it, just enroll it and get started. Right? So think about it. How many times have you avoided? Have you shelved doing something for years that you were so fearful of? Like how it happened for me, the fear of water. How many times has it happened to you? How many times it's when you're avoiding, pushing it under the carpet, shoving it away for the fear of not doing it. And this is happening from years, you know, from year after year. And maybe I'll do it later. Maybe I'll do it when I had children. I thought maybe I'll learn to swim with them. But they finished it and they've moved over. I mean, my son knows how to swim advanced level, and here I'm trying to grappling with how to, make my body float in water in the first place. But then once you have the courage, it becomes, you know, it just dissolves. You don't even realize. So if you know that you can handle it, you know, I got to you'll 100% be able to handle it, then you know, guys, there's nothing to feel fearful about. You know, when something is going to that's your ability. You know, I believe in my ability to figure things out. You remember this affirmation which we do so commonly with our students. You know, you're able to handle it out, and then there's no fear at all. So I want you to make a list of things that you've been shoving, you know, under the carpet for many years. What are those things? And then let's see how do we gather the courage to get it out, to get it, you know, just get the courage to do it. Fear of not achieving goals. This is something that's been fearful about. Yes, Raj, thank you for sharing. So, a lot of activities. Just make a list of things that you've always wanted to do but have not been able to do because of fear. And then let's see the kind of courage that you're having to really put your heads on into it and get it done, no matter what. Right? So, two things, guys, two things for this week as practice. First is henceforth, this week, I want you to keep observing whenever you get this fearful thought that it's not something in the present or not something that happened in the past, but that's something which is going to arise in the future. And the second is make a list of all those things that you've been fearful about all the time. And then let's see how you're going to get done, you know, just get it done, get the courage to get it done. The next time, we're going to have a discussion on what are the types of fear, and then we'll move on to all those practical little nuggets to get out of this habit. You know, these small little habits that you can really live it up day wise. You know, you can follow it daily to get rid of this mammoth, you know, this monster called fear, with so-called monster called fear. So what? So that's it, guys. I'll see you all next week. For people who have been reading, let me remind you once again. For people who have been reading hashtags, they've had some wonderful Amazon. We keep getting reviews on Amazon every week. So for those who have yet to buy the book, please go to this link and get a copy for yourself. And the Kindle version as well as the physical version are both are available on Amazon to buy. You can go to this swing as well, this link as well, malkanbook.com, to get a copy for yourself. And it was nice to have each of you. Do keep sharing your feedback on the show. The show's on YouTube as well. Do keep sharing your comments and feedbacks. Get in touch with me if there's anything, any help that you need on any of these topics we discuss on the Malkan Show. And I'll see you all next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.